Get up and dash 100 meters and I would eat up the competition.
Welcome to 3CountCommentaries. So Triple H went his own way with Monday Night Raw and promptly put a crowd to sleep, which I could have told you was going to happen when you do what he did, which is featured the kind of guys nobody really cares to see in really long matches and segments, and even people that they kind of want to see, they don't really want to see. But we'll get into it. As a matter of fact, let's get into it right now. Seth Rollins got a massive reaction as usual because Seth Rollins, unlike other hot dog circuit veterans, is actually over. Actually has a character, actually has something to say, and it's actually interesting. So Seth Rollins comes out there and he's talking about beating up on Matt Riddle and that he's focused on championships. He's not interested in a rematch. Then he's talking about winning the title. When Matt Riddle interrupts him, runs to the ring, and the two of them fight. Rollins tries to flee. Riddle chases him up the stairs. They fight into the crowd. Eventually, Rollins finds his way to escape Matt Riddle. Now, this is not over because Judgment Day comes out there, meaning Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Priest and Balor approach Matt Riddle, and then Damian Priest said that him and Matt Riddle are friends and that they know each other quite well, which is true. They are the best of friends. They want Matt Riddle and Judgment Day. Damian Priest talked about them being held back, but that's no longer the case. And he feels like Matt Riddle is being held back too. They bragged about Dominik's growth, and Finn Balor said that he wants to help Matt Riddle with his problem. His problem being, of course, Seth Rollins. He said, Damian Priest said, rise with Judgment Day or fall against us. Matt Riddle, of course, said no, he's focused on fighting Seth Rollins. Finn Balor said again that maybe because of the laws in Oregon that are a little lax, maybe his brain's cloudy. But he's going to say it again, you're either with us or you're against us, to which Matt Riddle need Finn Balor in the face. All right, so before we go further, let's talk about this. Them playing up the old friendship of Riddle and Priest is a good one. They did documentaries and everything showing how good friends they are. So them two being buddies is believable. Judgment Day looking to expand, believable. Needing something for Riddle to do until he can wrestle Rollins again, of course, also believable. Most of this is very fine. Don't have a problem with any of it. Matt Riddle, of course, saying no, because that's what a good babyface would do. Attacking Judgment Day, because, again, that's what another good babyface would do. Trying to fight both of these guys off by himself. You know, that's perfectly fine. So we go to commercial, we come back. Finn Balor versus Matt Riddle is the match. Finn Balor wins with the coup de grace, of course. There's a lot of cheating by Damian Priest and various outside people jump in. Rey Mysterio attacked Damian Priest outside the ring, took him over the top of the barricade. Seth Rollins then got the distraction, which led to the big finish. Finn Balor wins the match. After the match, Matt Riddle stomped in the head by Seth Rollins, and he says to Matt Riddle, "It's over between you and me. Move on, bitch." So I like this. This was quite good. So the match itself was, of course, very good. They played their part pretty well. Matt Riddle was just outnumbered. He just can't do anything against Judgment Day by himself. All right, fair enough. Seth Rollins made his point that he was not going to play around with Matt Riddle. So that's perfectly fine. A little weird that, Judgment Day offered to beat him up on behalf of Matt Riddle, but of course, since he didn't take it, I guess there's no never mind there. Seth Rollins, backstage, about an hour and a half later, said he didn't want to talk anymore and doesn't want to talk about Riddle anymore. He says he's the face of the industry, the face of Monday Night Raw, to which Lashley says, "You're the face of Monday Night Raw, huh?" Now, Lashley hadn't been involved in a storyline in a while. So he says, he who makes the gold makes the rules, and is the one who is the face of Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins says that this isn't the championship that he was talking about, but he will gladly take it from Lashley, setting up a match between Bob and Seth Rollins next week. Seth Rollins has Bob problems. That match gonna bang. All right, I like this. I like this. This is very good. Clearly, it's going to be Bob's going to win, and it's just going to be a way of diverting Rollins away from the title that he really wants, and maybe even allowing Riddle to get some retribution on him. Maybe Riddle will cost him the title. This ought to be very fun. The match itself ought to be fun. The implications of storyline elements should be fun. The fact that Lashley is finally doing something in his damn company is fun. You know, it's like, wow, it's about time. Bruh, it's been like since Triple H took over, Lashley's been one of those people that has kind of been in the lurch. You know, he just kind of balled the guy, hit over the fence and landed in the bush, and everybody couldn't find it. So they just gave up and went home and then brought a new ball. So finally, somebody remembered he has the United States title. So, I think there's an off chance he loses it, because there might be an off chance that they want to put it on Riddle. But I think that they're probably better off with it on Lashley, you know. But Lashley and Rollins is gonna bang, and I like their interaction today, because Bob was talking about how Rollins dresses, and Bob was also wearing those glasses. It make him look like he, you know, is a science professor or something like that. Look like you're about to teach calculus or some shit. Why you wearing those glasses, bruh? Yeah, like an English teacher. Anyway, Judgment Day, they weren't done for the evening, of course not. After Finn Balor defeated Riddle, there was this spooky Dominik Mysterio hostage video where he was in the dark and in the shadows, like that Conan O'Brien segment. In the year 2000, as he's in the dark, talking about he's only been known as the son of the legendary Rey Mysterio. But after Clash at the Castle, he became his own person. That he's tired of bottling up how he feels inside. Edge got what he deserves. Now tonight he is going to finish it. And says that he knows that his dad is upset, but this is his life, not his dad's. And maybe if Rey would have asked him what he really wanted for his career, this all could have been avoided. But he says, for a tiny man, you cast a large shadow, and I don't want to be in your shadow anymore. Then Rhea Ripley comes from the dark and whispers a little something in his ear. You know, hey, Dom, let me get your pussy wet. Or something like that. I'm like, what's going on here? And she whispers something to him. Then Dominik says that he is not your baby boy anymore. He is a man. And this whole time, I was like, even in pre-tape promos, Dominik is not good. He's not good. I said over a year ago, I said 2 years ago, if I remember correctly, that Dominik needed to be led astray by a woman. I was talking about Zelina Vega, and I was talking about that then. But Rhea Ripley is a fine example of one right now. A young man being led astray by a woman is perfectly good and well within the character, and something that is completely and totally relatable. You know, because most young men are led astray by women. You know, women open you up to, you know, who you really are, and they also can lead you astray. So, you know, like the old Adam problem, you know, Adam and Eve. So I like this idea that, you know, Dominik Mysterio is being under the sway of Rhea Ripley. But his promo wasn't good. It was stiff. It didn't feel natural. It felt like he was reading something, or he had probably done 100 takes, and this is probably the best they could do because it was so bad. And I'm just saying, like, he just cut this promo like there's a gun at the back of his head. I don't know, man. Like, I was seeing Al Qaeda hostage videos that feel more natural than this. You know, like this was the shits. This was the shits. Dominik is not good, man. He's a whole lot of not good in one body. It's just, Anyway, Ray is very good. So Ray is backstage and Dominik is working out. He's loosening up. And Ray is begging Dominik to stop this. Saying that he didn't know that Dominik had been holding in all of this pent up frustration all this time. And he doesn't have to do this. He can go to Edge and talk this thing over. Let him make this right. Edge is family. He doesn't want to, but he won't hold back if you start the fight. And if you have this match, man, things will never be the same. Things can never go back to the way that they were. Dominik, of course, is completely ignoring Ray, not interested and not listening. Rhea Ripley stepped from the shadows once again. She likes being in those shadows. And says that Poppy knows best. And I cringe every time she says that. Then she said that, I told you before, he's not listening to you. You know, he's a man now. And she tells him to come hither. And therefore he goes. Because, you know, even though he's supposed to be a man now, he's completely under her thumb. Which is creepy, but actually not bad. Ray then goes to Edge and asks Edge to back out of the match. Let him convince Dominik to stop this match. Edge says that Dominik is a man now. He's got to pay the consequences for what he did. And it's clear that Ray won't do it. So who better than him? Isn't it better that I'm the guy? Because I've known him since kindergarten. Because I care about him. Isn't it better if it's me? You know, since he can't be you. That's not a bad point. You know, it's not a bad point. I can see it. I can see how, you know, your uncles might want to step in when your dad feel like he can't do anything. I understand that. This leads us to the main event, Dominik Mysterio versus Edge. Dominik Mysterio has a new theme song. He's still wrestling in that damn chest protector. He's still mid as all hell in the ring. I think this might be the first time in a long time that nobody cared about an Edge match. You know, we just weren't there yet. The heat was not there yet. Judgment Day isn't over yet. You know, it's not hot. They're trying to bubble up some stuff, but things are getting kind of repetitive. Especially since I think a lot of people kind of saw the disqualification in this match coming. Obviously, Rhea Ripley is outside the ring helping, being a distraction. And then Dominik gets tied up in the ropes. At this point, Edge is peppering him in the head with punches. And Rhea's kind of standing there. She's surprised. She's dumbfounded. She doesn't know what to do. And then Ray gets in the ring. So Rey Mysterio is in the ring now. Edge tries to shove Ray out of the way. Ray clasps onto one of Edge's arms, and Edge tries to shake him free. Finn Balor and Damian Priest jump into the ring. Then they jump Edge. Of course, this leads to disqualification. They help Dominik get out of the ropes. And from there, it's a beatdown. They beat Edge down again. Coup de grace on his knee. Coup de grace on the chair on his knee. And Ray is, of course, out of the picture at this point. So, this is... it feels like a rerun. Like, it feels like we've done this quite a bit with Judgment Day, and they're not really... The crowd isn't really behind it. You know, I think all of the losses and all of their distractions and kicking Edge out of the group clearly has caused like a severe problem, because now there's no mic worker for the group. There's nobody in the group that the people really want to see as a heel. You know, like as far as all of these guys are concerned, well, I don't think Damian Priest needed a heel turn, but Rhea needed one and Finn needed one, but I'm not entirely sure that they needed this one. And the idea of them joining Judgment Day was an idea of them being partners with Edge, which is what I thought. Now, of course, this hasn't been the case for at least 2 or 3 months now. You know, Judgment Day has kind of, rise or fall on its own. But you're talking about Finn Balor, who they continue to beat like a drum even after the heel turn. Rhea Ripley, who's not wrestling. And Damian Priest, who they also beat a lot. So it's hard for these people to get heat, you know. And then when they do get heat, it's almost always the same kind of heat. You jump guys from behind with chairs and everything. It's not really working. You know, it's not really working. Dominik Mysterio is not over. It's going to be hard for other people to get him over if they're not over. As much as I like Finn Balor and Damian Priest, what they're doing right now is not working. It is not working. I like Rhea in this role. Rhea is fine. But I'm not sure this whole thing is working the way that they want it to. But I'm also not sure what to do with it. Because, I mean, you can't just drop the angle. You know, they do have something here with the Mysterios and Edge. I think it may be some time for some fresh blood to be thrown into this thing. I know Matt Riddle is probably going to be added to this. But what happened to AJ Styles? He should, you know, he's another guy who's went over the fence and been lost in the woods since Triple H took over. You know, like, is AJ hurt? You know, I haven't heard anything about AJ Styles being injured. Why isn't he featured on this show? You know, I don't know. Especially considering some of the people we do have featured on this show, which, you know, I do have a deep problem with. We'll get into it eventually. So, Judgment Day and the Mysterios. I'm loving the development of the character, but I think we should have changed Dominik completely. I think he should either be wearing a mask or he should have face paint or something, and he should be wrestling a very different style. I think that's what they're trying to go for, with, you know, his style being a little bit different. I like that they had him selling most of the match to show that, not only to show that Edge is pissed off, but also to limit the exposure of Dominik's offense, which is awful. You know, at least he can sell. At least he looks like he's getting his ass kicked. That's a positive note. But his offense is not legitimate at all. It doesn't look good. All right, so that was that. My big problem was the damage control stuff. Everything that involved damage control was not good. Not good. They started the show with Bayley complaining about Aaliyah pinning the wrong person and said tonight they're going to be in control. They're going to win the titles. And then they do. Damage control defeat Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez to win the women's tag team championships. A bunch of people complained, why did Aaliyah and Raquel win the titles just to lose them 3 weeks later? And the answer is simple. Swerves, bro. You know, if you get people to believe that Damage Control was just going to come in and walk straight to the titles, then there's no drama there. Nobody cares about them. And, you know, you didn't really do much of anything. And it was all about getting heat on that 6-woman tag. You get some heat for the 6-woman tag because Alexa and all of them had cost them the match. And then you come back later. You know, I told you about the old Shawn Michaels build to doing things. You double back to things. You have, you know, who should have won the first time, you beat them, and then you double back. So now there's an opportunity for a third match between these two teams. Aaliyah and Raquel, I don't know what you do with them. I really don't. There's just a lot going on, I guess. But a lot of people are kind of pissed. Like, people were pissed that they won. Now people are pissed that they lost. I don't see it as being much of a problem. Look, ultimately, the biggest issue here is not who has the belts, because who gives a fuck. The issue is that after the 3 count, you could have heard a mouse fart in that arena. Nobody cared. Nobody cared that Dakota Kai won, or Io Shirai. Nobody really cared about that match. You know, they didn't do a good job of putting heat on that match. So nobody cared about who won. You know, was it a good match? It was fine. It was serviceable. There was some sloppy parts to it, of course. That's women's wrestling. The agility is not always going to be there. But nobody in the match was over. And that's the thing, man. And I can see that being the reason why Triple H put the belts on Raquel and Aaliyah, is to try to give Io and Dakota a bigger stage victory by having them be the champions, defend it a couple of times, win a couple of matches, and then come back and lose. Then that way, at least some people care about them now and can invest a little bit in them. But considering it never looked like they were actually going to run with them, and they of course, they also never cut any promos, never did anything together, never built characters together, and they never gelled. So it was very difficult for anybody to actually care about them. So there's another Triple H project with his girl Dakota Kai, who I'm blaming for all of this. I'm blaming Dakota Kai for all of this. Every bit of it. This is the Dakota Kai effect. It's absolute just silence. Silence! Silencio. Nobody cares about Dakota Kai whatsoever. And that's not good. It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. Later, Bianca Belair has an open challenge. It was answered by Sonya Deville. I like Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville reminded us that Bianca Belair cost her job as a WWE official, even though I'm pretty sure that was Naomi. You can't tell me Sonya Deville got her black people mixed up. You can't tell me that she did that. Bianca Belair wins the open challenge match. It was pretty fun. I still like Sonya Deville. I don't understand why Sonya Deville is a jobber. I don't know. She's one of the best mic workers and one of the most intimidating female villains on the program. Why is she a jobber? That makes no sense. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You're pushing Dakota Kai onto the world. She can't talk to save her fucking life. But for some reason, somebody who actually can talk, people who can get heat, are being pushed aside. See, this is the problem with the whole NXT bias shit. Like, Sonya Deville came out of NXT too. But clearly Triple H had a favoritism thing when it comes to Dakota Kai. Because there's no good reason for her to be involved with this at all. She's not working. All right. And to make things worse, Bayley came out to absolutely no reaction. Nobody really cared about what Bayley had to say when she came out, which is the worst possible thing because Bayley was out for a year. Bayley was out for a year and here it is a month later and people are barely reacting to her. People are just kind of like ho-hum when Bayley comes out. You know, that was never the case in the past. You know, and I think Vince Russo, I hate to say this, but he might have been right. It might have been a situation in where this whole damage control thing ended up bringing Bayley down. And Vince was right to kibosh this shit from the beginning. You know, it's not looking good. It's not looking like it was a good idea. Nobody is more over before. They may be in better positions in terms of Bayley before she left was just doing random jobs to Bianca Belair over and over and over again, which wasn't doing her character any good. But at least, you know, she was building off of those losses. She was building character stuff off of those losses. I did videos on all that stuff. And it was actually looking like she was going in a very deranged, very violent direction. And now they decided to, okay, we're going to go in a different direction. Where now she's, you know, being the role model. She's going to be a real role model. And a role model to Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Okay, that makes sense. So it's not a bad direction for Bayley. It's just that you picked for her underlings one woman who is very small who doesn't speak English, another woman who is very small but speaks English but has the charisma of an absolute otter's tooth. She's terrible. She's an aardvark. She's not good. She sucks. All right, to put it in clear English, she sucks. Dakota Kai sucks. At least Io Shirai, if she was a babyface, she would be a spectacular Rey Mysterio-like babyface that people will get behind. Dakota Kai sucks. Until she gets better, she is the one to blame for all of this. So Bayley comes out there, asks Bianca if she feels better after winning this match. Say that you won't be able to sleep until you beat me, until you wrestle me, and you'll get your match, but not right now. Then she said, I was out for a year, came back and beat you. Something nobody did in almost a year. And then Damage Control jumped Bianca Belair and beat her up until Alexa and Asuka came down there to make the save. You know, here's the thing. Bianca Belair is amazing. She still gets great reactions, even though she was also knocked into the bushes since Vince McMahon was removed from office. You know, Bianca Belair, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, they all just got knocked into the bushes. Now, Triple H is not just now finding all of these golf balls and baseballs and frisbees in the trees that, you know, he forgot was all around there while he was spending time pushing the bums he was pushing. But thankfully, it hasn't hurt any of them none because of the great work and the character stuff that he can do. Most of them could just step back in and get back over real quick. So Bianca is not really all that hurt. But she gets jumped by Damage Control. Asuka and Alexa Bliss, who are static as all hell. They're not doing anything. Talk about another frisbee stuck in the gutter. I'm talking about Alexa Bliss here. absolutely embarrassing. She's boring as hell on TV. And Asuka not even featured. We know that she's one of Triple H's she's one of Triple H's favorites too, but she's also one of Vince's. The fact that she's not getting any focus in this whole thing is kind of embarrassing. She's just getting put in nothing matches and, not being allowed to do her and be her. And, at least the character that Vince had for her. It's like people might have hated it for whatever reason. Somehow people kept saying that, oh, she was a stereotype. Like, I thought the stereotype of Japanese people would be like, the stoic monk, like martial artist, not the frantic back and forth, manic super fighter, which is basically what idiot savant, which is basically what Asuka was. But now Asuka has nothing. So, like, is this better? Is she better off than she was before? No, she's not. So, whatever Vince was doing right, all three of these people were more over when Vince was booking them than they are now. I'm talking Bianca, even though she's still over, Asuka and Alexa Bliss. And Bayley, for the record. She was more over, too, when Vince was booking her. So, clearly, Triple H is doing something wrong here. So, they're going to set up the match for Bianca and Bayley at some point. Fine. I don't have a problem with it. It should, honestly, is to be expected. But I'm looking at this situation and saying it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult because your girl ain't over, Triple H. Your girl is not over. You gotta fix that. You gotta do what needs to be done to get that girl back where she needs to be. All right. So Johnny Gargano had his first match on Raw, and it was a match with Chad Gable, and it was a match to which the two of them went out there, and the match felt like it was 15 minutes. And I was like, why on earth would you do this? Look, this is another thing when it's all about good matches. It's like, yes, Johnny Gargano and Chad Gable was a good match, but it was a match with no heat where we probably should have been showing people why Johnny Gargano is a favorite of Triple H. And he should have won a match against some job guys or a job guy in a short amount of time, building up to a match against somebody else. Giving him a 10 to 15 minute match against Chad Gable did not really do much of anything except, kind of grumble people because, again, the crowd was very quiet for this. Even the people who were into Johnny Gargano, and there were some. There was some people chanting Johnny Wrestling. I'm not going to lie and say that there weren't. But there was a lot more people who was just kind of sitting there like, Chad Gable has no chance of winning. Why is this match so long? And that's what you have to consider. That's what you have to think about. If you have not taught the audience that the match is going to be competitive, you can surprise people every once in a while with a Triple H versus a Takamichi Inoku. The match goes longer than you think. You could do that occasionally. Your not Hunter Hurt sounds like, but your Triple H, not your Triple H, your Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid, or Triple H versus Shelton Benjamin. That's what I was thinking of. You can do that every once in a while. You can't do it every week, and you certainly can't do it with somebody who's having their debut match in front of people who've probably never seen this guy before. Some of these people have never seen Johnny Gargano before in their lives. You should have just had him come in, hopefully develop a new move, something that with some impact, with some flash to it, so that he can win quickly, look like a beast, and look like somebody who, is worth something, and you want to see him wrestle some of the top guys. But if you see a guy who can barely beat Chad Gable, who has won a match on TV in over 90 days, what on earth? Why should anybody care? You got to think about this stuff, man. I know it's easier to book the 3 hours by just putting guys in longer matches. It makes the 3 hours blow by. But he was better off having Johnny Gargano win in a short match and then cut a promo afterwards. You're much better. This is very Tony Khan level booking here, where you just have two guys like, oh, this will be a good match. Let's have these guys wrestle each other. And then everybody's like, all the internet is happy. But the people in the arena are quiet as shit. And the people at home are damn near snoozing. Not because we don't like Chad Gable. But the fact of the matter is, we know Chad Gable is not winning this match. Why is this match so long? Why? You're just prolonging the inevitable, bro. And there were some botches in here, but I'm not going to beat them over the head too much about the botches. So everybody's favorite moment of the evening occurred after this. After Johnny Gargano defeated Chad Gable in a competitive match for no reason, Otis came into the ring. Gargano escaped Otis just by running away because Otis is a big fat butterball. Then Austin Theory blasted Johnny Gargano in the back of the head with the briefcase, took a selfie. He then gets in the ring, said somebody had to show Johnny Gargano how it was done, that he's an overrated bottom feeder. And then Kevin Owens came out. Austin Theory said he's tired of guys like Kevin Owens stealing his moments. And Kevin Owens says he's tired of hearing about Austin Theory being the future. He's not the hand-picked future anymore. Guys like him and Johnny Gargano are the future. To which Adam Pearce, Austin Theory said that Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens are jealous that he's done more in 5 months than they did in 5 years. To which Kevin Owens said that Austin Theory was handed opportunities, and he understands because the Universal title was handed to him, and said that he saw plenty of guys like Austin Theory, young guys, chiseled. He's seen plenty of them come and go, that these guys are a dime a dozen, while guys like him and Johnny Gargano, the heart and soul of this business, those guys are 1 in a million. He says that we are the heart and soul, you are the appendix, which is, Then he says that you have to do whatever it takes to prove me wrong. Make your own moments. Leave everything in the ring. Leave your ego to the side. Let your passion drive you, and you can live up to your potential. Then he shoved him a little bit. Austin Theory didn't respond, so then he smacked him. That led to the fist fight. There was a pretty good pull-apart brawl here, to which Austin Theory, when they were separated, had a broken nose or a bloody nose. And Kevin Owens said, "That's just the beginning, bitch." And I cringed through the Kevin Owens promo because all of the dweebs online was loving this promo because it's all about how the indie guys, the guys who shouldn't be there, that forever story of Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and, the guys who wrestle in t-shirts and wrestle through the bologna sandwich and hot dog circuit, how they're the real wrestlers who really put in the time and really do all of this crap. And all the hand-picked body guys, all of them flame out. They don't stick around. And it sounds good on paper. Of course, we know it's all bullshit in the end anyway. John Cena drew more money than all of these guys combined. And he was, of course, a hand-picked guy from Vince. Sure, you may have, say, a guy like Chris Masters may have flamed out, but a guy like Batista didn't. So when you say stuff like this, you have to understand, there's going to be some misses. But there's plenty of you indie dweebs out there that fumbled the bag too. Like, look at Low Key, for instance. Low Key is in such in the shitter that he can't even get booked in AEW. A guy like Austin Aries, who was, essentially handed the keys to the kingdom in Impact, and he fucked it up because he has a sense of entitlement, which comes from all of these indie weirdos who, I've been 15 years on the independents. I know what I'm doing. And in reality, you don't. Nobody cares to see all that garbage he was already doing. People want to see stars. People don't want to see guys wrestling in t-shirts because you can cut a somewhat good promo. Nobody gives a shit. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, Austin Theory is likely going to draw more money than Kevin Owens. I mean, it is what it is. Now, of course, Austin Theory is still at the beginning of his career. We'll see in 10 to 15 years whether he actually broke through and actually do draw that money. Because Kevin Owens was a draw in NXT, at least. And I guess he was somewhat of a draw on the main roster, before they kind of shitted all over him. Because part of the problem with Kevin Owens is the booking. The other part is how he looks. I mean, it is what it is. Like, people are not inspired by Kevin Owens. They're not interested at all in Kevin Owens. But people did actually get a reaction when he was dressing down Austin Theory. And Austin Theory didn't really respond. He didn't have a response. 9 times out of 10 in these situations, guys are written to basically be the brunt of jokes. I mean, Triple H did it the same thing with Karrion Kross in NXT, where Karrion Kross had to stand there and look dumb, so Adam Cole, the small hot dog circuit guy, can get over. And that's a problem. That is a problem. Every week it's been something with Austin Theory. He's having him get knocked out by somebody. He's getting kicked in the face by Johnny Gargano, knocked out by Austin Theory. Not Austin Theory. He is Austin Theory. Tyson Fury. Now he's getting dressed down verbally by Kevin Owens with no response. It's getting ridiculous. Like I get it. We're trying to get him to pay his dues. But ultimately, how much more of this shit is you going to be able to do before people just throw their hands up and say, look, what you could have got a fucking briefcase for? If every week he's going to look like a goddamn goof, he's never actually going to look good or look strong. He doesn't have anything to say. He never has anything to say outside of he's the youngest Money in the Bank winner, youngest United States champion, yada, yada, yada. You're not adding any content to what he's saying. You're just going to have veterans dress him down and knock him out every fucking week. And then it's always guys that, nobody cares to see, or guys who are over and stale like Kevin Owens. Like, I don't even understand the benefit of this. And I know a lot of other people have noticed, but I at least get it. I get it. I get that, Austin Theory is going through the ringer, as part of his old paying your dues process. And he, I don't think Triple H dislikes him. But I think it's clear that people are pitching stupid shit trying to use him to get those old washed up veterans over. And that should tell you that these guys have an issue. It's a problem. These guys should already be over. They shouldn't need to work off of Austin Theory, to bounce off of his wall in order to get themselves over. And I'm not saying that I dislike Kevin Owens' promo. I think as a babyface promo, it was very good. It put over the working man, the blue collar, independent pro wrestler. It really put that guy over. As the backbone of the industry, all of them are going to feel such pride for it. A lot of the fans of these guys are going to feel such pride. They're going to be like, yeah, that's us. But then again, I've heard that promo half a dozen fucking times. I remember when John Cena stood there and let Daniel Bryan cut that promo. I remember when CM Punk cut that promo again. John Cena was just standing there listening. And that's just kind of how it is. These guys pop up with these fucking promos all the time. It's the same fucking shit. You handpicked WWE guys. You guys have no passion. You guys don't care about this business. You guys don't da-da-da-da-da-da. It's the same shit every time. Every fucking time. Because you worked the hot dog circuit because you ain't had no fucking talent. You couldn't get a tryout. Or you was too bipolar and fucked up to actually be able to, or not dedicated enough. I mean, goddamn, Kevin Owens been wrestling in a t-shirt for 20 some odd years now. You mean to tell me you haven't lost enough weight in 20 years to wrestle without a t-shirt? I mean, it is what it is. You lack dedication in your craft, B. That's why I call you Bam Bam Owens. It might just be an endomorph. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not upset at that. But you can't just go out there and just be denigrating the guy who had the dedication to get himself into shape. A guy who was dedicated to actually put in the work, and a guy who did the hot dog circuit. Because fucking Austin Theory was in Evolve. He worked that shit. He worked through NXT. He came through that system. It didn't take him that long because he was earmarked to go through the system a little bit faster than everybody else. But this idea that just because you have to spend 20 to 25 years or 15 years to 12 years, working the bingo halls and the National Guard armories or some shit like that to be considered a real wrestler is some bullshit. And that stereotype needs to fucking go away. It needs to die. Because a lot of those dudes come to WWE with an incredible sense of entitlement and they end up shooting themselves in the foot. Guys like Keith Lee, guys like Low Key, guys like Austin Aries. There's so many of these guys that come from places like TNA or Ring of Honor or Dragon Gates or whatever, and they come into WWE and they absolutely flame out because they think all I need to do is be a pro wrestler. And when WWE asks them to do something else, do something more, to change up even a little bit, all of a sudden, I can't be me. Oh, They want to change my work. I've been doing this for so long. And then all of the fans are the same way. All of that. Remember all those fans who was on Keith Lee's side? How dare you say Keith Lee needs to go train? Now look at him in AEW. People are talking about how he's a giant balloon man. He's a balloon man with popsicle sticks for legs. And everybody's like, oh, well, they're buttoned up now. They're very quiet now. He's a tag team wrestler. This is a guy that was talking about should be wrestling Brock Lesnar. He ain't wrestling Brock Lesnar in AEW. And nobody ain't saying shit. Nobody cares. Because everybody see that he came back fatter than he was before. Now, he's probably gotten back in a little bit better shape. But we're looking at the situation with all of these goddamn indie wrestlers, man. They have a sense of entitlement. You know? Fuck that. There's one thing I mean, at least the dudes who come in, the Madcap Mosses, you know, the Batistas, the Chris Masters, those guys, they come in, yeah, they're body guys, the Lex Lugers of the world, or whatever. But at least it shows some kind of dedication to craft, you know, or at least some kind of dedication to what people might be interested in people who look like they fight for a living. For Christ's sake. And don't give me that Dusty Rhodes bullshit either. Don't give me that Big Van Vader shit either. You know, none of these motherfuckers are Vader or Earthquake or Big Boss Man or anything. These guys are either small and fucking tepid like Johnny Gargano, or they're fat weirdos like Eddie Kingston and Kevin Owens. And there's obviously some talent there. That's why these guys hang around for so long. But this idea that we're so good and we're being held back because we don't fit the mold is like, there's a place for everybody in this world, man. Some people build cars. Some people rebuild cars. Some people work under the hood. Some people have a car in their driveway because they can't change the oil and they take them 3 years to do so. Those are the Kevin Owens and the Eddie Kingston guys. All right. You're the guys that are going to be sitting there with a cigarette in his mouth with ashy fingertips because you work very, very hard. But nobody actually cares about what you're working on. Nobody gives a fuck. If the car doesn't start, it don't start. Other guys, fuck it. They'll pay somebody else to build their fucking car. They don't care. They'll pay somebody else to fix it. They have other things to do. They're putting their energy elsewhere. And eventually, if you get the right guy in the right place, like a John Cena. Yeah, I remember, like, how many times have we heard somebody say some shit? I remember seeing this on the internet a lot. WWE could have had Samoa Joe, but they took John Cena. And I'd be like, as much as I love Samoa Joe, I'm looking like, there's no fucking comparison. Joe and John Cena came out of, I think, the same general area in California. Yeah, they had the opportunity to get Samoa Joe, but they didn't want him because he was fat. I'm like, okay. Look at what John Cena became. I love Samoa Joe. I really do. But our thinking of how great Samoa Joe is his time in Ring of Honor and his first maybe 2 or 3 years in Impact. After that, he was just another fat Samoan guy with, you know, tribal tattoos on his face doing flame dance and shit. Meanwhile, John Cena was packing Madison Square Garden and packing arenas. Sorry, you know. Hot dog circuit guy, Samoa Joe, doing heavy chops with Kenta Kobashi. That's great. That's one lane you can go down. There's another lane you can go down too. That's the lane of actually pushing the business forward, making money, and making opportunities for other people, which is what the fucking job is. The job is not 5-star matches. The job is selling t-shirts. The job is selling tickets. That's what the fucking job is. You know? Sorry that nobody gives a fuck about your fucking matches. All right? I'm pretty sure nobody gives a shit. Sid. No, 0 5-star matches outside of the ones I think are fucking 5-star matches, out of my opinion. Sold tickets. Move merchandise. Same thing you can say for pretty much anybody. Guy looked amazing. Guy looked great. That's all it really takes. Ultimate Warrior. That's all it takes. This is the kind of shit Kevin Owens grew up watching. And now all of a sudden it's not good? What the fuck? You grew up watching body guys. You know? You didn't grow up. All the guys who wrestled in fucking t-shirts in the WWF in the 90s never won a fucking thing. Except the Mountie. And he was champion for what? A day or 2 days? Then he dropped the belt. No. No, that shit don't work. Do something else, B. And so why so many people love this promo, and I'm not going to say it wasn't good. The content is garbage, and people are going to start acting like this shit was gospel. When again, it's the same fucking promo that I've heard 100 times from the same motherfuckers, and it almost always ends up the exact same way. The guy who they cut the promo on ends up making more money than them. Too bad, so sad. Austin Theory deserves better. I don't know. I don't understand why he can't be wrestling guys he can get over on and actually get some heat without being stuck in these situations where he's getting embarrassed by Kevin Owens and at least booked to not have any type of response. All right, so the final thing to talk about on Raw is The Miz. So The Miz refused to come to Raw. He said the only way you're going to get him on Raw is if you come to him. So he's in his house with his children are there. Maurice is there. She's hot as ever. And they have a premiere to go to. A premiere of what? We don't know. We're not told. We're not given all that information. Maurice tells Mike that they have dogs, security guards, all kinds of things, so he can't get there. And they have 5 minutes. So Miz tells the camera team, you got 5 minutes. They asked him about Dexter Lumis. He says, don't say his name in my house. He said it again, and Miz responded once more that he doesn't want that name said in his house. Then he said that WWE hired extra security or whatever, and he still manages to get in. And then he says, I don't understand why you guys don't understand this. I don't want to talk about it. So he decides he's going to leave. He gets into his car with Maurice, and they leave. The babies are still there, however. They were playing on the piano and everything. It was incredibly cute. And then as Miz and Maurice drive off to go towards their premiere, if that's what they want to call it, we see the camera pans back to sort of a basement-like area where there is Dexter Lumis, who has drawn pictures of Miz and Maurice. And it is very, very creepy. He's inside the house where the children are. It's like, oh boy, that's frightening. So we still don't know why Dexter Lumis is after the Miz. We don't know what this is about, but we do know that Dexter Lumis is stalking Miz, and he's got it out for Miz and Maurice. It seems like, or he might just have it out for Maurice. So we're not entirely sure yet, but I actually don't mind the Dexter Lumis storyline. It's fun. It's interesting. The Miz makes everything work. He's another guy that's been knocked over the fence into the bushes. You know, even though he's the Miz, he makes everything work. I mean, you can give Miz peanut butter, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, and a side of pork and beans. He'll probably still figure out to make something work. You just can't fuck up the Miz's day. You know, I'm pretty sure you come to the Miz with any random fucking thing. You bring him pieces from 3 different puzzles. He'll try to make it into something legible. You know, you can bring Miz torn up sheets of paper from 3 different letters. He'll probably try to put together something coherent. Like, unlike so many other people, he don't need things to be perfect for him to figure out how to make it fun and how to make it work. Like, his very reaction, how he talks about things, his inflections, his facial expressions, almost all that stuff shows that he actually knows what his job is. You know, he doesn't have much of an ego either. So he knows that, you know, hey, it makes him look weak that he can't, you know, protect his children and all this kind of stuff. But he already knows that the Miz as a character doesn't have to do any of that stuff. The Miz as a character is all about appearances. It's all about image. It's all surface level. There's no content to the Miz. So we're looking at a situation where, you know, his life is being invaded. You know, this is the moment where, you know, if he was, you know, Brian Pillman, he'd pull out the Gat or something like that. But this is not the first time his house has been invaded. Remember when the Fiend invaded his house, and for some odd reason, people booed the Miz for defending his own family from Bray Wyatt. I was thinking about that. The Miz got a negative reaction defending his children from the fucking Fiend. But so they just kind of doubling back to that. My question is going to be, when do we go to the next level with Dexter Lumis? And we actually started, explaining what happened and why this is happening. Also, the question of where was Ciampa this week? I know Ciampa doesn't live with Miz, but for Christ's sake, shouldn't he have been around? Shouldn't he have been somewhere? I don't know. But I like Miz, so I didn't mind this. I forgot to talk about Amos. He beat up 2 job guys, but the most important thing is USA Network fumbled the feed. So the feed cut off, and I was looking at that. I thought it was just me because I thought it was just my janky cable. Turns out it was everybody. And I'm like, man, Vince is gone for a month. All of a sudden, motherfuckers want to start cutting the feed and having technical difficulties. I bet he was at TV. Out of all the stuff that happened on this show, people are like, Vince is going to be so upset about the word wrestling or Gargano versus Gable and all that. I'm pretty sure this bothered Vince more than anything. The idea that you're having technical difficulties on Monday Night Raw in the middle of a game, no less. When people could just change the channel to the game, you had technical difficulties. Come on, bruh. Triple H, come on, bruh. Fix that. But it came back pretty fast. Amos is another one of those guys that was in the lurch. Rightfully so in some ways. I'm not really a huge Amos guy anymore. I didn't mind him previously, but now that he's sort of one-dimensional giant, I'm not really a fan. So that's Monday Night Raw. There really was no news and notes to discuss. I did see that Carmella was trending on Twitter, and I didn't know why. So then I looked it up because I was like, did she get fired? That's what I thought. I was like, she got fired, she got hurt, something bad happened. And it turns out that she was trending because some guy said that she is one of 11 people WWE could fire right now. And the Stan Twitter was acting up over Carmella. And I was like, I thought something major was happening. It's just somebody with super pedestrian views on WWE and what makes a talent or whatever. So there was a list. I think this WrestleMania. Is that what he called it? WrestleMania? It's like some Brit Bong YouTuber. Like, as soon as I clicked the video of them talking, it was like I heard an English accent. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. But it was like somebody posted a couple of people on the list. I didn't see the whole thing. But it was like Carmella and Tamina and Nikki. I'm like, all these, this is pedestrian as fuck. It's like, who cares about any of these fucking people? Like, if you're going to do a video, like, there's be 11 people that need to fire right now. It needs to be like some provocative people. It needs to be like some real names that would cause some real division. If Carmella was fired tomorrow, outside of Stan Twitter, who would really care? Not that many people would give a fuck. Same thing with Nikki or Tamina or anything like that. You want to talk to me about firing motherfuckers? I'll talk about firing motherfuckers in the middle of they push. All right? Because I'm like, I don't see the point of this motherfucker. I'm talking about Dakota Kai. I'm talking about Natalia. Get them the fuck out of here. All right? You want to talk about firing people. Let's get to it. Let's roll up our fucking sleeves. Let's not go after bottom feeders that almost all of your wrestling YouTubers will agree with. No, let's get in there. Let's get our hands dirty and start kneading this dough. You feel me? Because there's a lot of motherfuckers that can get the fuck up out of here. But I'm not really about that anyway, about people who should be fired. I'm just looking at them and saying, there's a place for just about everybody. There's a place for Carmella on the roster. And also, I kind of agree with Stan Twitter a little bit, because I do think Carmella is one of those Baron Corbin types where she's not a work rater, but she does well whatever they give her. She's good at adapting. You put her in a tag team, she's adapted to it. You make her a manager, she can adapt to it. You make her a singles wrestler, she can adapt to it. She's not going to go out there and give you some kind of Miyu Iwatani 5-star Stardom Starlight Kid match or whatever the fuck. She ain't going to do that. But if you can looking to get a character over, Carmella could do that, absolutely. And I think she's actually more of a valuable character than Dakota Kai. If you ask me right now, would you rather have Carmella or Dakota Kai on your roster? I'll rub my chin approximately twice and say, give me Carmella. Absolutely. Why? Because at least Carmella can talk. At least Carmella could be annoying and get heat. Because if she can be the female version of The Miz, She can go out there, she can talk, she can get people's attention, she could be annoying, and therefore somebody can get cheered by knocking her out. That simple. That's all you really need. You don't really need for her to go out there and have 5-star classics. To me, saying that you're going to fire Carmella or you want to fire Carmella, I don't give a fuck. But I'm just saying that she has some value, and I think she has, improved tremendously in the 5 or 6 years he's been in WWE. I just thought it was weird that she was trending on Twitter, and I'm like, why? But I really don't have strong opinions about it. But I do think that Carmella is one of those people like Baron Corbin that, you kind of like, yeah, it's just a general, the internet doesn't like them. Like the internet is always upset that like Carmella is still around or Baron Corbin is still around when a lot of their favorites get fired. But I'm like, well, your favorite is kind of boring. They're a boring wrestler guy who can't adapt. They have an attitude if you ask them to do something a little bit different. This double backs to my Kevin Owens rant. You got to be able to adapt. You got to be flexible. It turns out that WWE is really good at rewarding people for being flexible, for, being able to do a lot of different things. Carmella had a reason to have an attitude too. Remember, she put all that time and effort. She was gone and for a long time to build up the little champagne character that she had came up with. And they immediately jobbed her out to Sasha Banks 2 or 3 times straight. And she never really got out of the box, So, I mean, she put a lot of time and effort into that character just to run into the wall of Sasha Banks, and it didn't work, and, imagine if that would have happened for somebody like Keith Lee. People would have had an attitude. People would have had an attitude if it was Kevin Owens that had put in all that time and that effort to create a whole new character, a whole new persona that was kind of based on the previous one, but was a new presentation only to lose, to an already established star already 2 or 3 times in a row and completely destroy the mystique of that character, But I'm talking too much about Carmella. I don't care enough about this thing. I just thought it was weird, and I felt like it should be addressed because it was trending on Twitter, and I did see it, and I was thinking about it. I was actually thinking about watching the video and doing a reply to it, but then I was like, no, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to become a reply guy. And plus, once I realized that the guy was British or whatever, I was like, there's no discussion to be had with Brit bongs, toast and pork and beans guys. There's just nothing to discuss. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about with you guys, man. I'm sorry. God bless the queen and all, but you guys, man, your wrestling opinions, dog shit. A lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you. Your wrestling opinions, hang them shits up at the door. Like Arabs with their shoes, leave them on the outside of the door, man. All right, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Oh, pause before you go away. I was thinking about making the live stream. I really enjoyed doing the live stream. I was considering doing it regularly, but I don't know when a regular place and time would be. Sometimes I work on Saturdays, so I wouldn't be able to do a regular Friday 10 to 12 live stream. But that's kind of that's the only day that I for sure have off every week is Friday. But I do have to work on Saturdays sometimes, like every other Saturday. So, I would do Sundays, but Sundays sometimes are pay-per-view nights. I don't want to do a night where there's a show. I don't want to do Tuesdays. I don't want to do, Mondays. I don't want to do a live stream on the nights that I know other people are doing live streams. So I also don't want, because I don't want to clash with certain people. People who have bigger audiences, you do a live stream with them and half of your fucking audience is over there and all that kind of shit. So I don't know, but let me know what you guys, throw some suggestions out there or what might be a good date or time for a live stream. And I'll try to figure out when I can do another one because I did enjoy doing the live stream. All right, now we're done. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.